Just like this is the time when
Good afternoon, everybody. So in the interest of time, and we'll get going with our event today. So welcome everybody to Cultural Connections. And for those of you that didn't know what this is about, then it's an effort from our college, from the Office of International Programs, to connect you with the world. Basically, every month, then we try to highlight a country that we collaborate a lot with, and that we have faculty, students, and staff associated with. So of course, then you see who the country or which the country is today, and we'll get more on that. But before I get there, I wanted to thank our sponsors, the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, also our college, the College of Food, Agricultural, and Environmental Sciences, through my office, the Office of International Programs. And of course, nothing would happen with the great work from Jason Owens, who organizes these events, and of course, Poppy Thornton would help us kind of get things together. Of course, all the volunteers that have helped us, and Jason will introduce them in a moment. But I wanted to thank you all because it's not easy. You will, the tasty food that you get in there, then was all of it was organized by them. And so of course, they explain a little bit what these are. And of course, my motto is if we cannot go to the country, then at least we bring the country to you. Okay, so thank you for being here and supporting this. We're trying to, as much as possible, to alternate from the Worcester campus and Columbus, but that also depends on our volunteers. And of course, if you have a connection to another country, or you obviously spend significant amount of time on those countries, then by all means, contact Jason and we'll schedule that. Okay, so thank you all for being here. And of course, for those of you that didn't know me, my name is Dr. Luis Cañas, and I serve as Director of International Programs, but my home department is entomology. And I, of course, see many familiar faces in here. All right, thank you, Jason. Please go ahead.
Yes, and thank you, Director Cañas and Poppy Thornton. It gives me great pleasure to bring this series to Columbus. And although our next couple of series should be from Worcester, Honduras, Belize, and Vietnam, it really depends on you. If you would like to do something about your country, then we're happy to come down here and make this happen with your help. The way we had the help of our presenters today, who not only selected the food, but helped in getting it together and getting it onto this table. And you saw the extensive introductions to them in the publicity for this event. I will say shortly, we are honored to have in the center Professor Gonul Kaletunc of FABE, who works in the Food Innovation Center on the development of controlled release microencapsulated bioactive compounds, which can utilize the food system as a delivery vehicle. Likewise, hailing from Turkey, we have Dr. Pinar Barkan next to me, a postdoctoral researcher in the entomology lab of Professor Jamie Strange, who is with us today. She's been working on bumblebees for over 10 years. Obviously important work. Our third speaker is Dr. Bilal Bayazit, and he is a postdoc at the Davis Heart and Lung Research Institute at Wexner Medical Center. So I ask for applause for them. Because I have seen their PowerPoint and know that it is good. And we'll share it now. Wonder why it is not advancing. Yes, you can do it from the coffee. table. So previous slide. Previous slide. And we will minimize the other folks, but we do thank the folks that are zooming in from both Worcester and from their home and offices within Columbus.
Thank you, Jason, and thank you, Luis, for giving this opportunity. Some conversation about Turkey and taste some of the food. And it's going to be nice, you know, Pinar put together and Bilal the presentations, and we are going to try to describe what is there about the natural beauty of the Turkey, as well as the historical perspective of the Turkey, as well as the food and the agricultural materials that they are grown in Turkey, and then maybe the industry in Turkey. So let's start with, I think, the first even opening slide. It's amazing, so much. Again, the beauty and the history is presented there. And we'll go to the next one. This one is kind of putting the Turkey in place in the world. I'm not sure if you are all familiar where Turkey is. It stays over the world, and also these different arrows you see there kind of describes our journeys from Turkey. You know, I started in Turkey and came for a PhD to University of Massachusetts. And then I went back to Turkey to the school I graduated, which is known as Middle East Technical University. And I did the faculty member and stayed 5 years there and come back again to US and then continue my professional career there. And one interesting thing I think we are going to emphasize that, but Turkey is a country that's placed in two different continents. So part of the Turkey rests in Europe and part is the Asia. And that's what it is also known as Asia Minor. And it is also a peninsula. You can see that there are water on all the north, west, and the southern parts of the Turkey. But before I go in there, I want Pinar and Bilal also describe their journey, how they ended up in Columbus. Okay, go ahead, Pinar.
So I was born in Ankara, and then with my family, we moved to the States for a while when I was a child. So I spent a couple of years in Iowa and Arkansas, and then we came back to Turkey, and I did all my studies there, my bachelor's, my master's, and my PhD. And then I went to Sweden and Switzerland to do my postdoctoral researches. And then, so I finally came to Columbus to work with Dr. David Strange. So this is my story. So I came back after many years to the US. And Bilal,
Yeah.
explain his story.
So I was actually born in Sweden, and I lived in Sweden most of my life. I lived in Turkey for a couple of years when I was a child, and yeah, together with Pinar, we lived in Switzerland before moving to US. So I did my PhD in Switzerland, and I'm doing my first postdoc here in Columbus. So yeah, I can continue.
Yes.
So I'd like to give you a brief introduction on the land that we live in, the peninsula. That's I'll see if I can get a pointer. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, I got it. So before talking about the history of Turkey, so it it is a peninsula. It's the Black Sea is on the north. You have the Mediterranean Sea on the west and the south coasts of Turkey, and it has been a historic land, and the Turkish people first started living in this peninsula dating back to the 11th century during the Seljuk civilization. And before the Turks, there have been a lot of other civilizations dating back to historic ages. But of course, I'm not going to get into all of this. So, I mean, the wonderful remains of all these civilizations can be found in the Anatolian Civilization Museum, which is excellent in Ankara. And so because of time, I won't get more into the details, but after the Seljuks, the other big Turkish settlement in this region was the Ottoman Empire. So actually, they had an expansive policy where so it wasn't only the Anatolian Peninsula that they resided, but their borders expanded throughout the years. And this kind of leads us to the modern Turkish Republic, which is established after the First World War, after the Turkish War of Independence, led by the chief commander Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, which is the founder of modern day Turkey, and he is a very important figure in Turkish history and to all Turkish people, because he represents the modern country that was established in the 1920s, and he established the secular parliamentary republic, and along with Turkish Republic, there was an alphabet reform in 1928, which Turkey adopted the Latin alphabet with additions to like 6 special letters, but it's the Latin alphabet. We have the letters Ç, Ü, Yumuşak G, Ö, Ş, and Ü. Other than that, it's similar to any other Latin alphabet. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but among the European countries, Turkey was one of the first to give voting rights for women, which I found very important in our history, something that we can be proud of. And so just about the demographics of Turkey, we've already mentioned that how it bridges Asia and Europe here. And the total population of the country is over 80 million now, and the most densely populated cities are Istanbul, Ankara, the capital, Bursa, Izmir, and Antalya. And more about the demographics of our country is that most of the vast majority of the country is native Turkish speakers, as you can see here, percentage of native speakers. When you go to the southeast part of Turkey, you have native Kurdish speakers, and this correlates well with the ethnic groups, ethnic map of Turkey, where you see more Kurdish ethnic people on the southeast part of Turkey, but there are other minor ethnic groups in other parts of Turkey as well. With that, I'd like to hand over to Pinar about, I don't know, the climate and vegetation.
So I will be talking about climate in Turkey. So Turkey displays different climates from different regions in different regions. So the coastal areas bordering the Aegean and Mediterranean seas have Mediterranean climate with hot and dry summers and mild, cold and wet winters. And then the northern part of Turkey, which is the Black Sea region, has the highest precipitation levels compared to other regions in Turkey. And it's influenced by oceanic climate. And far from the coast, like the inlands of Turkey, has continental climate, which can change between temperate to cold and semi-arid climates. So these are all found in the Anatolian part of Turkey. So the vegetation is quite diverse. It ranges from fir forests in the Black Sea coast to Mediterranean plant communities found in the Aegean coast. And southern Anatolia has a cedar fir forest. And eastern Anatolia has oak, juniper forest, and some parts have alpine zone plants, which you can see in the northern and eastern part of Turkey. So Turkey is a hotspot for biodiversity, and endemism is very, very high. So it's a transcontinental country and is covered almost entirely by 3 of the world's most important 34 biodiversity hotspots. And these are called the Caucasus, Irano-Anatolian, and Mediterranean hotspots. So this diversity results in from a combination of geography, topography, climatic diversity, geology, rich water resources. And also mountain ranges are also very important for speciation of different species. So Anatolia is a speciation center for many plant and animal species. So there are known 10,000 plant species in Turkey, 33% are endemic. And here you can see some examples of these endemic species. So animal species comprise of 80,000 species in Turkey, and they also have a high rate of endemism. So for insects, 40% of orthopterous species are endemic, half of butterfly species are. So I'm a bumblebee specialist, so I need to talk about bumblebees a little bit in Turkey. So there are 48 bumblebee species in Turkey, and Turkey is, and I should say Turkey actually, because now the name has changed to Türkiye. So we are the #1 country with the highest species richness in the West Polarctic region. And here are some examples of these beautiful bumblebee species in our country. And then fish, amphibian, reptile species also have around 15 to 30% of endemism in Turkey. And for birds, it is a perfect spot for breeding birds coming from Europe. And here are all some examples for the flora and fauna of Turkey. So Turkey is divided into 7 parts, and this is based on the location, the flora, the fauna, human habitat, agricultural diversity, transportation topography, and the way people live. So this illustration is very popular in social media. It really represents how diverse Turkey is concerning different lifestyles. Like, you know, people live very differently in Turkey. So the Aegean coast is really like nice little place with its beaches, and lifestyle is very easygoing, while Anatolia is a little more serious and the religion is a little bit more dominant there. And then the southern part, like it's famous for spicy food, and there are many different landmarks in each of these regions that you can see from this map. So I'd like to talk a little bit more specifically about the regions. So the Black Sea region is famous for its seaports, for its fishing, and it has alpine landscapes, as you can see. So there is the northern Anatolian mountain, which is also called Pontic Alp Mountains. So this is a mountain range, and the highest elevation, like the highest peak of this mountain is almost 4,000 meters, and it's really a beautiful place. And so beekeeping in general in Turkey is a very old practice. So there are known, I think, around 60,000 beekeepers in Turkey, and there are around 7 million hives in Turkey. So like each region has its own practices, but the Black Sea region has some specifics that I would like to share with you. So first of all, like the honeybee species are very interesting. In the Black Sea region, the northern part of Turkey, there is the subspecies called the Caucasian honeybees. So the native land of these bees are the Caucasus region in Georgia, but they're also found in this region in Turkey. So we have a special honey called the Anzar honey. So the Caucasian honeybees collect pollen and nectar from around 400 different plant species from the Anzar Plateau in this region of Turkey, and they make this very special and unique honey. And 40 of these species are endemic to this region. So this is a very rarely found honey, and it's very, very expensive. Another important practice is the use of log hives. So this is the same region as, it's quite close by to the Anzar Plateau. So beekeepers make these handmade log hives, and they place these hives on top of the tree, and they do not provide artificial combs for honeybees. So these Caucasian honeybees make their own honeycombs, and they just fill these honeycombs with their honey, the honey that is collected from the region. So it's a very natural and very tasty honey. And it's called the Karakovan honey, which basically literally means black hive honey. And then another interesting honey type that we have in that region is the mad honey. So the honeybees in the region collect nectar from rhododendron species. And this type of plant has a toxin called biotoxin. This is a neurotoxin that has cardiovascular, respiratory, and neurological effects. So maybe you've seen this news recently. There was a bear found in this region, and they thought like the bear looked very sick, and they didn't know what was happening to the bear. So they brought the bear to a vet, and they realized that it consumed a bit too much of mad honey. And it was almost like the bear was drunk, like they didn't know what was happening to the bear. So it consumed too much mad honey.
So I'm sorry, we're having a small technical difficulty, which I would like to fix right now.
Yes, yes.
Excuse me. The Black Sea, we can see the black screen at the back, but that in Worcester and on the future video, people will only see that. So what I'm going to do is go to share screen again and go to, well, neither of them.
The one right below that one.
That one.
That one.
Yeah. And, oh, good, it fixed the problem in both places. Excuse me for that. Thank you.
So now I would like to talk a little bit about Marmara region. So it's a densely populated region, probably the most populated region in Turkey. So Istanbul is the major city. As you know, Istanbul has a part in the Anatolian region and part in the European region. And there are 3 bridges in Istanbul connecting these 2 continents. And there is the Marmara Sea surrounding this region, which basically connects the Black Sea and the Aegean Sea all together. So Istanbul is a beautiful city, and it has beautiful landmarks, the Galata Tower, the Ortaköy Mosque, the Blue Mosque, the Sultanahmet Square, the Basilic Cistern, and many other landmarks that I would definitely recommend you to see Istanbul. So for Marmara region, there is a specific honey type called the chestnut honey. So chestnuts are grown in the Bursa city in Marmara region, and it's the fourth in the world for chestnut production. So honeybees collect nectar from the chestnut lands, and they make their own honey by basically using this nectar. It's a very dark colored honey with a little bit of a bitter aftertaste, but it's quite famous in the region. And then in the same region, in Hereke, there are hand-woven carpets or rugs called the Hereke carpets. They're either made from silk or wool, and they're quite specific to this region. And then there are Iznik tiles, again from Iznik in the same region. So it's basically a mixture of quartz, clay, and glaze. And artists make these Turkish motifs of floral or abstract drawings on these tiles, and you can buy many souvenirs actually from this region with specific patterns of Turkish motifs on it. And the Aegean region, it's a beautiful tourist attraction place. It has beautiful beaches and beautiful bays, and you can see this nice landscape by taking a blue voyage and explore these beautiful waters. It's a perfect place for summer holidays. And Pamukkale is especially a very important destination. So in Pamukkale, there are these terrace travertines. They have these mineral-rich thermal hot baths, and it's quite, I think they're quite hot actually. So you can just enjoy your time in there, and it's just a beautiful place. And right next to Pamukkale is the ancient Roman spa city called Hierapolis, which is very, very close by. And in this region, in Muğla, in the city of Muğla, there are Turkish pine trees that are highly abundant. And these have, of course, these trees produce some resin. And so there is a species of scale insects called Mercilina hemanica. They feed upon these resins, and then they make honeydews. And then the bees that are around that area collects these honeydews, and they make honey from these honeydews. And this is called pine honey. It's also has a bit of a resinous taste, and it has a bitter aftertaste, but it's it's a breakfast specialty in Turkey, and Turkey produces 92% of the world's pine honey. And the Muğla province accounts for 80% of Turkish honey production. So it is a very important economic source for this region. So my part is over. I'd like to. Yes, so Dr. Continue on the slide.
Thank you, Pinar. Thank you. And I will tell you something interesting also. When she mentioned that there are 3 bridges in Istanbul and in the Bosphorus, which is a natural strait. It just happened. And the first bridge was in 1970, was established there. So you can also see the growth of the city. So before 1970, they didn't even have a bridge. Only the ferries to cross from one side to the other side. So even my mother used to tell stories that because some of they went to school in the European side, and some of their teachers lived in the Anatolian side, and if there's a bridge even still there. So if we continue through these regions, and again, and all these regions, and we organize, it's incredible beauty. So you can see that this is, for example, the waterfalls that's in the Mediterranean Sea here. And water is incredible. Something really good to watch water. The color, I don't think, unless you go see the color there, it's hard to describe. It's hard to imagine that color can exist also, the water of that color. And this is also shows that the historical part that, there is this Aspendos, for example, in Antalya, around this region. This is built long time. It comes from the Greeks, and you can still make really plays or give concerts without needing any sound system. So the people can talk here, and the people up there can hear without needing any microphones or anything. So this is amazing how much actually, let's say, design was available in Roman and Greek times. And similarly, for example, in the Romans, in the Aegean area, there is Ephesus, some important areas there. And they had the system that they circulated hot water in their own houses under the floor. So it was warm, stepping on the floor. And we are talking about this is how long ago. So this is amazing just to go see this. And in that region, you can see this in Ephesus area when you go, is like maybe there are 7 cities built up on top of each other, just they are finding by excavation, and then they are getting, it's amazing amount of history there. Now I'm coming to my region, isn't it? So now is the Central Anatolia, this region. You know, if you go back to the Ottomans, the capital city was in Istanbul. So, but when the Turkish Republic is established in 1923, and even before that, when the parliament was established during the even independence war, Atatürk wanted to move the capital city to the middle of the country so it can be more protected from the other sides. And so the Ankara, the capital city, is in there. And actually, after his death, you know, he lies down. His mausoleum also in Ankara there. And there was another interesting thing. I mean, we cannot. We can continue keep talking what he brought to Turkey, but one of the things he brought, they said, because this area is known is not very productive in terms of growing, but he created a national just farm there to raise and to show that yes, we can grow things, we can just grow animals, and just to make a pilot type of farm to show that how those can be achieved. So he had an amazing vision. And so this is the capital city of Ankara. It just parliament is there, so the main place. Another interesting thing in this central region, so you can see that there are mountains, and this is about maybe 9,000 feet high. And then there is another region of it's completely flat. So you can have very different types of nature in those regions. And another highlight of this region is I don't know whether you heard, they call it fairy chimneys. And so these are natural occurrences of these kind of things. And some of them is put into, renovated to make a hotel. So you can even go experience of living inside those things. And of course, the best view can be achieved by using a balloon tour. And there is also, you can see this is in July, typically is the balloon festival. I don't know whether any of you familiar also in the New Mexico, Albuquerque, there is a balloon festival happens. So that's again, all the skies is covered with all these colorful balloons. That is the region. Next, go to the Southeast Anatolia. So we are looking at this region. And by the way, just maybe quickly, I'll go over what neighbors we have, neighboring countries. So on this side, on the European side, we have Greece, and we have also Bulgaria as our neighbors. And when you come on this side, we have Syria here, Iraq, Iran, Azerbaijan, and Georgia. Armenia and Georgia. So we have all those different neighbors all around our country too. And this region is unique because they go back to the very old times, even before the Turks arrived in Anatolia. So they have some really old historical things there. And in this region also, because it was on the path to Istanbul, to regions, they had some maybe original hotels. They had some places that actually people come and stay overnight and then continue their journeys. And in different regions also, they have really different architectural. This is one of the, like they call the Mardin. This is about somewhere around here. And they have very different architecture areas actually. A lot of Turkish TV series now goes and uses this as the model houses to do their filming. And one is interesting experience, which I don't remember. I was born in Istanbul, right here, but my father was in military. So he was appointed somewhere else. And 5 months old, they took me through this journey with the trains all the way to this section of Turkey. And so you can imagine, I'm not going to tell which year because you guess my age. I don't know that right now, but it was really rough times. And this is the region we are talking about, Eastern Anatolia. And there are also very good agricultural universities, that Erdal might know. Erzurum University is a very big agricultural university there. And also, again, some natural, this is known as the lake with the fish in it. But this is some place that people go, actually, this fish come and starts to pick on your, let's say, feet and heal the wounds. So they have those kind of beliefs there. People go for those healing purposes. And this is the Mount Ararat, which is known as the biblical things, also Noah's Ark is found there. And you can see that it is it's about like 15,000, 16,000 feet there. And so at the same time, it's very interesting. You can probably compare to I know there is at the end just comparison of the US and the US much larger area, but Turkey still, like here, we can have maybe the Dakota's weather. At the same time, in this region, we can have Florida weather. At the same time, we can live through those things. Okay, this is the fun part now. It is so many vegetables and fruits that some of them is available all throughout Turkey. And this is one of my favorite fruits, figs. But figs can be this is like an eggplant color fig, and it could be a different in this Aegean or Marmara region. And Aegean region also is very vegetable oriented cuisine. You can see that they collect all the either from the sea, or you can collect all the weeds, different weeds naturally available, and then cook foods. And it is kind of a chewing gum. It comes from the exuded from the trees and put inside the, mixed inside the chewing gum. Also, they use this inside sometime ice cream. So then there is a most famous ice cream in the southern east region of Turkey. Ice cream, it can be pulled like from one end of the classroom to the other end. It is so stretchy. And then that is made with this kind of chewing gum that's put inside that. Okay, what else we have here? And one region is very famous actually with the roses, and then you can see all kinds of the oils, or even they make the gems from the rose petals there. And the southern region also is very famous with their citrus fruits and the bananas. And then also they have a lot of cotton, grow cotton in that region too. Okay, this is another important, like, I don't know whether, did you like the olives that you have today? And that is this region, and this Marmara region or the Aegean region is very famous with their olive variety, and then there's a big also processing olives to make the olive oil. So it becomes an important region. And another, again, this, you can see these are different vegetable dishes created. These are leeks, some beans, and the artichokes, and the stuffed grape leaves. These are all the vegetarian. It is very rich in vegetarian cuisine that Turkish cuisine has. Although maybe most of you know the Turkey, mostly it's from döner or kebab. It's more meat dishes, but there is very rich in the vegetables cuisine and the olives. And another, I hope you enjoyed your dessert, baklava, which you can see that all different varieties of these baklava. And then the dried foods also very popular, and it's big source of export in Turkey. And this is, we call it maybe lahmacun, but it's almost, think about your pizza, but pizza with the ground beef, but very thin pizza. So it's very popular street food even in Turkey, something like, or a fast food. I shouldn't say mostly street, but fast food, you grab and go like McDonald's. But also still, like, we like those, but the new generation of Turkish kids like the McDonald's.
I'm so glad that you served food before you showed all these slides. I'm already feeling hungry again. Thank you.
And actually, Turkey is becoming industrialized. First, they were more, the food industry was a big industry, but maybe in small scale. But those are becoming large, like very big companies like Nestle, that's also factories in Turkey. And some of these know-how comes from those. Am I still in my own slides? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, but not yet. Okay. All right. So, but it's in different parts of the Turkey also. There is a lot of big sugar industry from sugar beets. And then these are the sugar industry things. And then there is also big meat industry and petroleum industry around here. And this is like some oils, again, olive oils. And it has some natural also like coals or some other natural stones. I'm not quite remembering everything right now, but there's a big textile industry, and it was a very popular textile industry that the US used, but then it's too expensive, so they want to go for the cheaper resources. Okay. Okay, now
Oh, yeah.
the last score.
So,
You know,
so I just wanted to give you a brief explanation about what sports are popular in Turkey. So number one is football or soccer, and it's the most popular sport by far. So there is nothing that comes close to it. And then I would say it's basketball and volleyball that follows that, and everything else is, I don't know, like not many people watch it. So I just want to talk about the football in Turkey. Well, it is the most popular sport. We were successful once upon a time in early 2000s. We haven't been successful ever since, but it's still, we didn't even qualify for this World Cup. And it is still really, really popular. The basketball teams are actually more successful in terms of both national team success. The Turkish men's national basketball team won silver medal in 2010. They lost to the US, unsurprisingly, in the final. On a club level, this is like the European version of NBA. On a club level, the EuroLeague is the top competition in Europe, and it's often won by Turkish clubs. The past couple of years, Anadolu Efes won the EuroLeague in men's basketball. Women's volleyball is actually quite successful in Turkey as well. The national team has some medals, and on a club level, as you can see here, the Women's Champions League is almost always won by Turkish clubs. However, these don't mean that they are nearly as popular as football. So I just wanted to show you how a Turkish family watches a football match. Nothing is gonna come as close to this. I know which game they were watching. It's a game between Fenerbahce and Galatasaray, and Galatasaray just missed an open goal. And yeah, there's smashing of chairs. There's the mother walking in, trying to calm everyone down. And yeah, I don't know how what kind of transition this is from. I don't know how I was thinking when I was reading this slide. So yeah, we have several notable Turkish scientists. Behçet disease, which is a very common autoimmune disorder that's highly prevalent in Asia, not so much in Europe and in America, was characterized by a Turkish physician. We also have a relatively recent Nobel Prize winner in chemistry in 2015. Aziz Sancar's lab is based in the US, but he's Turkish. And also the founders of BioNTech, which developed the COVID vaccine for Pfizer, were these Turkish immigrants in Germany, married to a Turkish man. So this is quite important for me, for everyone that is of Turkish immigrant families in Europe, that usually, I mean, the Turkish immigrants in Europe historically been worker families that have had to climb their ways up in the society, and And we are hearing more and more success stories, and these are very influential people for me and for Turkey. And with that, I think Pinar is going to talk about some fun facts about Turkey.
Last slide. So, yes, so we need to talk about the Turkish blind cat. So they're found in close by to the Van Lake, Van region in Turkey. So they have one eye blue and the other eye green. And we also adopted a cat in Switzerland, and she turned out to be a vine cat. So we have a vine cat breed as well. And so, you know, turquoise, the word turquoise, which were used by the French, means actually Turkish blue. So the reason why it's named the Turkish blue is because Turks were the first people to bring this mineral to Europe from the Khorasan region of Iran and Afghanistan. And then we have a breed of rabbits called the Angora rabbits. They are originated from Turkey, such as the Angora goat. They're also originated from Turkey, but right now they're bred in different countries in the world, but they're originated from Turkey. And then yogurt actually is a Turkish dish, and it's invented by the Turks coming from the Central Asian part in the world. And yogurt is a Turkish word too. It means kneading. And so the Turks are the first ones. Yeah.
And then
yes.
all
And,
that.
okay. So talking about the Turkish language, so the ordering of our sentence is very different than in English. So this is just a representation of how different it is. The order of how we speak, very, very different. And so the Turkish language is coming from the Ural branch of the Ural-Altay language families, or sorry, the Altaic branch of the Ural-Altay language families. So Santa Claus is from Antalya, Turkey. This is also a fun fact. He once lived in Antalya. I mean, he was born and lived there. So the Turks are the first people to make coffee as a drink. So they got the beans from Yemen and they made this drink. Coffee. So that's why it's called Turkish coffee. And if you're wondering about the size of Turkey and you want to compare that to a US state, so Turkey is 1.13 times as big as Texas in the United States. So these are just some fun facts about Turkey. And
thank you for listening. I think, you can see that we get excited about it when we see some of those things. I hope you have regenerated some interest. You can go Google more things to learn about. Thanks for listening.
Thank you to our wonderful presenters. So a lot of facts and so. Right, that concludes the cultural connections for today. So thank you, everybody. And if you can help us out, if you can take your plate out to the trash bins, that would be awesome. And then we'll take care of the rest. So thank you all.
Take the plate.
Thank you very much. Great job.
No, it's great. So I appreciate
I'm gonna take the olive paper. No, that's fine.
Very good. I'm in the middle of a